the truth of the matter, and you said it so well, Dr. Vibe, there are countless Black, African/Caribbean students, international students who are here in our cities who are struggling.
It's hard to know because we don't have like the data to say what is the state of Black health before and after. And that's something that we've been advocating for, right? We need better race-based data that's done in a way that serves us, because race-based data has been collected on different groups in ways that actually cause harm, but we need it to be done with us in a way that serves us.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team has reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world since 2020. So as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live on September 22nd, 2024. Yeah, I think the first full day of spring in the Western Hemisphere is today. It's either today or tomorrow. One of them. But the weather has changed a little bit. We're still getting some humidity here in Toronto. Before we go any further, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Get us to that 1,600 subscribers. We're getting there. We need your help if you so are comfortable doing that. Also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I appear on, please feel free to email me at dr.vibe@thedrvibeshow.com. Well, it's getting to be nice now. Every other Sunday, we are blessed and highly favored to get Cesar Ndema-Moussa on Black Canada Talking, where Black Canadians express their points, POVs, thoughts, etc. on local, provincial, state, national, international concerns. So as always, we are very happy to have Cesar back as always. What is up, Cesar? How you doing?
Hi, Dr. Vibe. Hi, people. Hi, family. Hi, allies. No, thank you for having me, as always. Good. It's a good day.
That sounds you've been running around.
Yes. I've really been rushing this morning. Unfortunately, my daughter ditched me. She preferred to go play with her cousin than to come watch football, aka soccer, with me.
Mm-hmm.
I forgive her. She's only 3 years old, right? So I was, watch a good game of football.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my sympathies to people who are fans of the football club called Arsenal in England.
I actually have a business associate in England, and that's her favorite team.
Please send her my sympathies, because as I remind them, it's been 20 years. Listen, they were down 1-man in the second half. They were holding it down 2-1 till likely the last 30 seconds in extra time when they go score. That has been Arsenal in the last 20 years. They either suck or always find a way to disappoint you. Arsenal fans, Thierry Henry is gone. That era is gone. Quit the team. Become happy fans. Come to Real Madrid. We are winners.
You're shading Arsenal? You're terrible.
Oh, I'm telling you, Arsenal fans, Barcelona fans, they no, I actually have a lot of respect for them, to be quite honest, because I find it it's kind of like here in Canada, Toronto Maple Leaf fans. Every year they believe, and every year, and I say this as one who's obviously after black and brown, my favorite color is blue. But truthfully, the Maple Leafs suck. They always find a way to they always find a way to disappoint. I remember that series against Boston a few years ago.
Yeah.
It used to always be Boston. When they were up 3-0, and they found a way to get caught and to lose the 7th game. Now, I'm saying all this, but honestly, as a sports fan, I do have respect for people who remain loyal of the team to the bitter end, and with hope. Leicester City made it, right? Many other teams, but when you are used to cheering for a champion team such as Real Madrid, and we've had some hard times. Let me just show you, just above are honored black leaders. You see? There you go. There you go. There you go. And
Okay.
I would say before she was even born, my daughter, before she was even born, she already had her Real Madrid outfit.
Okay.
I want people to understand this, you know.
Okay.
But on a more serious note, and yes, I really wanted to make sure that I share this to our people listening, who will be listening later, or even who knows in how many years they may listen, as this is online.
Yeah.
As we hear about these conflicts in the world, I just want to take a moment for our Black people and also allies listening to the show will follow Dr. Vibe, will follow me. I want to remind them, whether we talk about Ukraine, but especially in the conflict regarding Israel and Hezbollah, just as Gaza, there are Black people who are also dying over there. They may not be seen on TV. They may not be, in a sea of whiteness, white Jews, white Arabs. The camera is not going to pause to show you that there are Black people who look like us in Israel, in Lebanon, in Palestine, but there are, and they are also dying. And I don't like the expression, my thoughts and my solidarity beyond peace, beyond a ceasefire, uh, is to make sure that our people and those who claim to be allies and to care about Black people to not forget there are people who look like me and you, Dr. Vibe, like the Black husband, the Black father, the Black boyfriend, girlfriend, the foster child, the adopted child, the Black neighbor, the Black classmate, the Black colleague, etc. There are people who look like us who are dying over there, and the media, and I'm talking here Western media, Al Jazeera, you name it. We remember in Ukraine the fate of African students, but even in Russia, there are Black people in Russia. And we tend to forget they are there, they are dying. And I just want our people to not forget that.
It brings up an interesting point. I'd love to do a conversation with someone of African heritage or people who are living in that part of the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting to get their perspective.
I should see to if it's something that I can help to make happen.
Yeah, because I respect you so much, and I know you have quite a global footprint. It'd be very interesting to get that lens from over there. But hey, we got things to talk about here. I put it up earlier. Here is where you can get a hold of Cesar. Email president at rootsandculturecanada.com. Also Facebook, Cesar Remy Emery. First conversation piece. 45, Vance, Haitians, and pets. Where do you want to go with this?
Well, and I mean, I'm saying this, first of all, this topic, because, I don't want to give too much time to 45, aka Donald Trump, aka Orange Man. But the truth of the matter, our CEO of Roots and North South Development, Roots and Culture Canada, Ketia Peters, we were talking about this before coming on the Dr. Vibe, and it is, Trump and Vance, so the former president and his current vice president to be, if he was to win, propagating these false claims from the governor of Ohio to the mayor of Springfield to the chief of police. People were Republicans. They are Republicans. These are not Democrats. These are not Black people who are anti-Trump or hate Trump. These are white Republicans are firmly saying there are no credible reports of such. To make it worse, the very woman from whom, and I forget her name, but please, people can look this up. The very woman who started this it shouldn't even be called a controversy, this dangerous rumor, did apologize for it, admitting that she spread a lie. And yet we have Trump and Vance. Trump, the greatest liar of all time. No shame in lying, and no apology, no remorse. But of course, white evangelical Christians will do mental gymnastics to keep supporting him. Meanwhile, Vance, in an interview with Dana Bash from CNN, had a slip of the tongue admitting that they create stories in order to bring so-called awareness of issues to America. And here we see a typical white supremacy tactic. So some people want to relativize the comments in saying it's human behavior, but no, it's very typical of white supremacists to pick on a vulnerable minority. And FYI, for those who do not know, the Haitian community has often been the target of racism by white supremacists in the US. Those who are Haitian Christians, be aware that this country of America looks down on Haitians from the perspective of having dared to embrace voodoo, aka African spirituality, to free itself from the slavery under Napoleon Bonaparte in 1804. The white evangelist, Pat Robertson, the video is there on YouTube, basically claiming that Haiti and Haitians are cursed. That's why they get the earthquakes. It's not a curse, it's called seismic plates. That's why they get the diseases and all that. Those are the social factors and political factors that explain a lot of situations in Haiti. But the constant rhetoric regarding Haitians as cursed and bad, and then you get into the 80s and were associated what was called the 4H: heroin, HIV, hemophilia, and Haitians. And by HIV, understand homosexuality. So Haitians were basically put into that mix in terms of so-called social issues and moral issues that America was dealing with. And now we see this again 40 years later with Haitian migrants, refugees, in good standing. These are not people who are there illegally, by the way. In good standing, being falsely claimed because they come from a poor country, aka a country that is purposefully impoverished. 300 years ago, Haiti was the richest slave plantation of the Americas. It was called the Pearl of the Caribbean, La Perle des Antilles. So what we see here, and this is very much a message to Black people supporting Trump. How do you support someone? And then you have J.D. Vance, aka Shady Vance. How do you support someone who time and again keeps reminding you that he's racist, that he will not hesitate to take a jab, to make a comment? I mean, this is the same as I could say, how do women support someone like Donald Trump? I mean, he kind of raped a woman. I mean, legal terms, sexual assault, it really sounded like he was rape. How do you have Latinos supporting Donald Trump regarding some of his comments regarding Mexicans and Latinos? And of course, you have poor whites supporting Donald Trump. Meanwhile, send me $5, $10, etc., etc. I'm fighting for you. The guy's supposed to be a billionaire. He's stealing and ripping you off. So, and then we have black people. Black people will do a lot of mental gymnastics to support Trump. Meanwhile, Trump, time and again, since the 70s regarding housing, since the 80s regarding the Central Park Exonerated 5, let's not forget Obama and birtherism, etc., etc., etc. And of course, I'm born in Africa, aka the shithole continent, as he would call it. So, yeah.
There's a lot to unpack there. So let me ask, Cesar, with this, the whole going in on the Haitians, and so many, well, not so people buying into it, what does that tell you about American culture over the last 40 or 50 years? Or just America historically, maybe historically, is America a place where they always got to find their scapegoat?
That's an excellent question. So, and here we have to do a lot of, we have to do some political science and philosophy. America is an empire, and by default, an empire only exists as long as it can keep pointing out its nemesis, its opposite. So you will always see, and often it is mentioned, how America creates its enemies. When you hear the rhetoric today about how China is so dangerous and all that, who had an interest in bringing up China in order to break the Soviet, the Red Bloc in the 70s? And this is starting from when you had the top Chinese students being welcomed in American universities and becoming engineers, becoming technicians. For those who do not know, the the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, is a party of very educated engineers and technocrats, just as many of those Arab dictatorships, such as in Egypt, where if you actually look, including the so-called Muslim Brotherhood, aka the Muslim extremist terrorists who hate America, if you look at where the leaders studied, you will often find they studied in America. So the creation of the enemy becomes necessary in order to justify the existence of the empire. But at the same time, it does reflect an element of, and I hope I don't lose anyone here, it's beyond the notion of empire. It goes back to Europe following the fall of the Roman Empire. So basically, when you had from 476 to 1492, 476, the fall of the Roman Empire, 1492, Christopher Columbus' so-called discovery of the Americas, you have 1,000 years of Europeans fighting against one another for space and resources. Very limited place, and even further, you go all the way to the 20th century. Why is it that Europeans were always at war, and the world wars, they're called world wars? No, they're really European wars. If I'm not mistaken, the three largest wars, open conflicts, I'm not talking civil war, so within a nation, open conflicts, the three largest wars in human history are all Europeans. Largest in terms of number of victims. You basically are looking at World War II, World War I, and the Napoleonic Wars. Space and resources in the context of alliances. That's what it creates. So when you have the creation of white supremacy, aka us superior, white and all that, God and all these rhetoric, intelligence, them must be the opposite. So white supremacy, I'm really making it very short. If anyone is lost or confused, there's a lot of books to read regarding this, but whiteness, in terms of those scientific intellectual circles, aka white supremacist racism, defined itself in regards to three other groups, mainly three other groups. It defined itself mainly in regards to Asians, but particularly Chinese, and that's why you hear the notion of the yellow peril. There are so many of them, but at the same time, they are so intelligent. They are ahead of us. They are the competitors. You want a perfect example? It's how Chinese people had for centuries, before Europeans, they had the gunpowder, but it's Europeans who put the gunpowder and really, I mean, it started in China, but it's really in Europe that it became the cannon and the gun. The other civilization is the Arab Muslim civilization, aka they're coming to invade us. Allah, the enemy God, etc. That notion of the Judeo-Christian West versus the Arab Muslim invaders. And you see this even today. You look at France, Marine Le Pen, Rassemblement National. You look at England, many people talking about Londonistan. You look at America, Donald Trump, Barack Hussein Obama. It's like, he's not born in America. John McCain, yes, he is. We can disagree, but we must respect. So there's always a creation of the enemy. I give you a little example that people like. It kind of blows their mind. There's a pastry most people like, the croissant, right? The croissant. When was it created? It was created in the 17th century to commemorate the defeat of the Muslim armies in Vienna. And as such, the croissant is in reference to the Muslim symbol, aka the Christian West eating the croissant, killing the Muslims. Then, of course, last but not least, Black people. The people, the skin color. Because for those who don't know, and I mean, a lot of Arabs like to deny it. I mean, when we talk about whiteness, that's why I say white Indo-Europeans, white Europeans, white Arabs, white Jews, but even Asians, such as Chinese and Japanese, actually, they used to be considered white. Until the 19th century, early 19th century, they were considered white. But Black people, that reference to the evil, that reference to Satan, that skin color, the whole notion of there must be beneath us, the missing link between the ape and man, aka the corruption of Darwinism, because that was not the original thinking of Darwin and evolution. Even Martin Luther King denounced this. His speech in 1967, "I'm Black and Beautiful." People can find it on YouTube. I notably use it for my conferences. One of our heroes, he denounced how even in the language, in the dictionary, look at the attributes, what the synonyms associated to Blackness versus whiteness. And we see the impact from children, aka the doll test, to adults, skin bleaching. The most famous Black entertainer of all time, Michael Jackson. We love him, but let's stop lying, Black community. Michael Jackson had an issue with being Black. Vitiligo does not change your facial features. That's no vitiligo. You see what I mean? So he did have vitiligo, but vitiligo doesn't change the shape of your nose, your lips, your hair, etc., etc. So we have these constant elements that basically make it that when you have a Black minority that on top of it is poor, and the birth nation as Haiti is in turmoil, they become easy picks. They're easy to pick on. You will notice how people such as Trump, they tend to be careful when addressing the most successful, and this may bother some people, but it has to be said, the most successful financially and most educated minority in the world, the Jewish community. Trump does make anti-Semitic remarks, such as when he said, I think it was earlier this week, regarding if he were to lose, the Jewish community might have to be blamed. But he's still careful regarding the nature of such comments, because the main Jewish lobbies give monies to the Republicans just as to the Democrats. So they have an economic power that is also associated to a community power. Something Black people, African Americans, just as Blacks worldwide, and notably Haitians, don't truly have. We have rich and powerful individuals, but we have a weak community. Meanwhile, you can see a poor Jewish uneducated person, but because they're Jewish, you associate them to a strong community that imposes respect and that imposes being careful, because you know there can be consequences. Jewish, Chinese, Indian, Japanese, Russian, etc. These are nations, but look at us as a race. And in Africa, I could give the example of Rwanda. And yet, only about 30 years ago, they went through a genocide, and yet they lifted themselves up.
Good stuff. Cesar is in the house today. Cesar is laying it down on Black Canada Talking. You know, with Trump, Vance, Haitian, and Pets, and we will see, because it always seems, for some reason, I wouldn't say the Republican Party, but 45 always has a group to target, a cultural group to target. So I don't know if this is going to happen again during the campaign. Wouldn't be surprised, because he does have a track record.
It likely will. There are too many days left. and it's also because, to be quite honest, Trump's form of populism. So we have to be careful even when we say populism. Example, Doug Ford is a populist. Prime Minister of Ontario, Doug Ford, but even the Prime Minister of Quebec, François Legault, is also a populist. But it's a very type of populism to what Trump does. Trump's populism is outright white supremacist, and as such, as he becomes further stressed in regards to the election results, because someone has to understand this. If Kamala Harris loses, she's still a senator. She's still a politician.
Yep.
She's still a free person. If Trump loses, just as his judge in Florida there, Aileen Gannon, who is so partial that even Republicans have called for her to be removed of that case of the files.
Yeah.
He's directly facing jail time. It's basically Trump's life and freedom are dependent on him becoming president. And this is further why not only we can rest assured that he will keep making such comments, but we can also rest assured that there will be violence. As of November 5, maybe January 6 or January 20, 2025, but there will be violence. This is not, two assassination attempts already on Trump, but this is not a peaceful election nor transfer of power should Trump lose. And that's what it's seeming to be like based on statistics, but also based on momentum. I mean, you have Republicans calling to vote for Kamala Harris. That's incredible. In a two-party system, that tells you how corrupted Donald Trump has made the Republican parties, that there are some who are jumping off the ship and calling to vote for the other person.
All right. Well, we're going to take our first break on today's conversation. And when we come back, many people may be watching this in Canada. Many people may be watching this in the United States and around the world. But have you heard of the name Mark Robinson? If you haven't, stay tuned. I think it's a name you'll want to say, things that make you go, We'll be back in 30 seconds. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Join Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
But you still got to give him the respect that he has been doing this a long time.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Nobody's talking about that. Aisha, that's pretty powerful.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. Absolutely. We're back on Black Canada Talking, September 22nd, broadcasting live. And just to recheck, we're here with Cesar Ndema-Moussa, and we're talking about different conversation topics. And we have contact information for Cesar, which is up here, president at Roots and Culture Canada, Facebook, Cesar Remy Emery. Well, here is another interesting person that you may want to know, may not want to know about. Mark Robinson, the Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina and the Republican nominee for governor in the U.S. for North Carolina. Cesar, what's your take on this guy?
Dr. Vibe, let's put it this way. And I really need for our Black people, but even allies, white people, people around the world to really understand. Or that's been done on black people. I'm talking here in terms of race, anti-black racism. This is not, I'm not talking about just, conflict. I'm talking hatred of people because of the skin color. Goes back to about 4,000 years. If you want to know more, that's part of the reason why I'm a consultant. So I will teach further on this. But this war that's been done on black people, which notably has culminated in the last centuries with slavery, starting with the white Arab Muslim enslavement of black people as of the 7th century, but notably the white European Christian enslavement of black people since 1443. And then you have colonization of Africa, which despite lasting only 75 years, aka a lifetime, has such deep consequences that are still being seen and felt today. And of course, let's not forget segregation. I mean, to give people some perspectives, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, the Black civil rights movement in the USA, were in the 1960s. In Brazil, the country with the largest Black population outside of Africa. And as we speak today in 2022, more than 50% of Brazilians claim at least some African ancestry, because Brazil is also the nation with the highest level of mixed race heritage. In Brazil, Black civil rights, I'm not talking about the resistance, the fight, the heroes, and I'm talking civil rights as you understand, political rights, uh, affirmative action in education, etc., etc., truly only began with the presidency of Luis Ignacio de Lula. We're talking about 25 years ago. So when you have someone like Mark Robinson, it's absolutely the consequences of self-hate, the consequences of alienation. When I speak about the three cancers of the Black psyche in terms of entertainment, consumerism, and white religions upon Black minds, this is what Mark Robinson represents. He represents that character on the Boondocks, aka Uncle Ruckus, with one little difference. Those who have watched the full, all the episodes of the Boondocks came to realize that Uncle Ruckus was a victim of trauma. It's trauma that led him to self-hate. It doesn't justify. I was just talking about Michael Jackson, the greatest Black entertainer. And yes, I love Michael Jackson, but I will not be shy of calling out the self-hate our brother was suffering, which notably includes having had three white children, aka he didn't have Black children. That's self-hate. That is self-hate. That's what it is. Let's be brave, let's be honest, let's be uncomfortable in addressing the truth. Mark Robinson represents all of those elements. And to be very understanding about this man is a politician in the Republican Party, the same party that seems to have time and again Black people who seem to be willing to lie, to, how do you call it, chuck and jive for the approval and acceptance of massa, aka white masters. We're talking about Senator Tim Scott. We can talk about Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson. Many people were surprised. Candace Owens. When we think about notably the comments she made regarding George Floyd, that even shocked white conservatives. Don't get me wrong. I keep saying Candace Owens. Candace Owens was okay with being supported by the NAACP when she was a victim of racism by whites, but she understood that she could make a profit being on the side of white conservatives. But someone else, a Florida politician, a black woman, a few years ago, Kimberly Daniels, who made headlines for saying in open session that she praised God for slavery. For if it wasn't of slavery, she would have been in Africa praying to some tree or something like that. So when we have Mark Robinson on a porn site called Nude Africa, and first of all, let's be careful here. This is not an opportunity to bash on sex workers. We have to understand there are many factors that lead to people becoming sex workers. And it's not just a matter of saying wanting to make easy money and being sex freaks. We have to have empathy for sex workers and acceptance. I'm totally for the legalization of prostitution and this and that, but we have to understand the nature of the exploitive nature of the industry that notably coincides with sex trafficking, just as the moral dilemmas notably brought by religion in terms of body shaming, sexual partners, but also practices. And this is why we see in a man as Mark Robinson portraying himself to be the social and moral conservative, and yet being on a porn site, notably talking about enjoying or liking trans sex and other insults towards black people, including Obama, Martin Luther King. Really funny when Trump presents him as the next Martin Luther King or better than Martin Luther King on steroids, and yet he hated them. But Dr. Vibe, and to everyone listening, there is one thing that Mark Robinson said based on that investigation by CNN and another site, I think it's K-File or something like that. He talked about a white woman who was raped by a cab driver when she was drunk, and referring to her as some, and I'm going to use a crude language, we have to, white bitch. That might be the line that's too much for even many white Republicans, aka white MAGA, that these black men, stereotypical features, this is not some black, aka mixed, Stephen Curry looking type of brother or even white passing. No, this is a black man who could be on the screen with you and me, Dr. Vibe, and many white people would assume that we might all be related. And yet Mark Robinson went there. So when I look at it, truly the way it is that this man, and I mean, it's crazy to think that you go to make such comments on a porn site and then you go on to run for politics as a Republican. And from what I heard on the news, the Republicans knew there was dirt about him and they were expecting something to come. But Donald Trump didn't care. Just as he didn't care about Herschel Walker, was it last year in Georgia, despite antics of domestic violence and others. So it speaks to the judgment of a Donald Trump who says that he always picks the winners. Or he surrounds himself with the best. No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. He surrounds himself with those who reflect on him and will basically bow to him, such as this Django character like of Mark Robinson looking for his white massa. And the nature of those comments, I was driving, actually. I was coming back to Ottawa from a business trip. I was driving when I heard those comments, and I was like, whoa, this guy was holding no punches. And it's like, at what age do you realize that what you write on the internet can come back to bite on you on that nature? We can be controversial. We can have, and we've seen this, of course. I tell people, dare to be truthful. But it's one thing to say to have so-called controversial views. It's another thing to be basically okay with rape. It's another, well, I mean, okay with rape, aka Donald Trump grabbed them by the, you see? So this is like, there is an alignment. He just happens to be black.
Well, before we go any further, we'll go a little bit deeper. But today, Dr. Tachi is in the building. What is up, Dr.
Hello,
Tachi?
Dr. Tachi.
Always good to see and hear from Dr. Tachi. And if you do have some time, please check out the power of Indie Soup TV. That is a platform that Dr. Tachi runs. I think about 17, almost 18,000 YouTube subscribers. Oh, I guess close to 40 independent content creators. Check it out. This is one of the shows that you see on a regular basis on that platform. We also have in the house, Mr. Ryan Knight is in the house also. Good to see Ryan Knight always. And he says him and the family are doing well. This is great. So just to go a little bit deeper in regards to this allegation that it was found by CNN, I'm going to actually put up the article up on the screen. Okay, here we go. This is from CNN. The title of the article is, quote, "I'm a black Nazi. NC GOP nominee for governor made dozens of disturbing comments on porn forum." This is published September 19th on the CNN website. Mark Robinson, the controversial and socially conservative Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina, made a series of inflammatory comments on a pornography website's message board more than a decade ago, in which he referred to himself as a, quote, black Nazi, unquote, and expressed support for reinstating slavery, a CNN K-file investigation found. During a recent history of anti-transgender rhetoric, Robinson said he enjoyed watching transgender pornography. A review of archived messages found in which he also referred himself as a, quote, a perv, unquote. The comments, which Robinson denies making, predate his entry into politics and current stint as North Carolina's lieutenant governor. They were made under a username that CNN was able to identify as Robinson by matching a litany of biographical details on a shared email address between the two. Many of Robinson's comments were gratuitously sexual and lewd in nature. They were made between 2008 and 2012 on, quote, Nude Africa, unquote, a pornographic website that includes a message board. The comments were made under a username Mission Noir, a moniker Robinson used frequently online. Robinson listed his full name on his profile for Nude Africa, as well as his email address he used on numerous websites across the internet for decades. CNN is only reporting a small portion of Robinson's comments on the website, given their graphic nature. Let's see. And he has a history of controversial statements. Campaigning for lieutenant governor in 2020, Robinson advocated for a complete abortion ban without exceptions. He later expressed regret in 2022 for paying for his now wife to have an abortion in the 1980s. Oh boy! I says now campaigning for governor. He says he supports a so-called, quote, heartbeat, unquote, bill that would ban abortion when a heartbeat is detected approximately 6 weeks, with exceptions for rape, incest, and health of the mother. But writing a Nude Africa in 2010, Robinson said he did not care about a celebrity having an abortion. Quote, "I don't care. I just want to see the sex tape," unquote. And now this is what Cesar said in another thread. Commentators considered whether to believe the story of a woman who said she was raped by her taxi driver when intoxicated. In response, Robinson wrote, quote, "And the moral of this story, don't blank this white bee." So this is just some of this, and I'll put the link for the article in the comments. So Cesar, do you want to expand on anything I've just shared from that article?
Well, you said it, Dr. Vibe. I mean, the hypocrisy of this man being borderline for a full, complete ban on abortion. Meanwhile, his wife had an abortion. I mean, he referred to himself as a black Nazi. This is what, 2008 to 2012. This is not about the miseducation of the Negro. Black Nazi, do you know how many of our black people are aware that one of the first things the Nazi did when they came to power was the sterilization and killing of many black children and youth
Yes, that's
in the
true.
Rhineland country, aka called the term, and I hate that term, the bastards of Renania. The Nazi Party ideology was fundamentally anti-black. Jews were just on the first on the list. Jews, communists, LGBTQ, but blacks were on that list. This is one of those people who will think that, because he will espouse and repeat the tropes of white supremacy, he will be welcomed in. This is we're talking about what I often remind people. We need to have a black psychotherapy healing, addressing identity, addressing the black mindset. When I talk about the three cancers of the black psyche, it's not about entertainment, consumerism, and religion to make it exciting. It's because the concrete impacts are right there. I've said it and repeated. I love Michael Jackson. But isn't it weird to think that the biggest black celebrity literally strived to look white? And when he went to have children, not of his own, he went to make sure to have 3 white children. That must speak to our mindset and how we see ourselves, not as individuals, but as a community, how we see ourselves and how we are seen. We are the same community where, and I've seen this in the 4 school boards of Ottawa, Catholic and public, French and English, black teenagers run out of time to give you the names of all the black, rich and famous celebrities they can think of. And they're all entertainers, except 1 or 2, such as Obama or Mandela. That speaks to our mindset. That speaks to how we see and how we treat each other. Mark Robinson here today is just like that Florida politician, Kimberly Daniels, praising God for slavery so that she's not praying to some tree. Meanwhile, she goes praise to a crucifix made of wood that comes from a tree. So it's, he claims that, of course, this is basically tabloid trash or whatever. He's not going to give up. He's not going to apologize. He's not going to admit. This is like, Trump's behavior. I mean, Trump didn't apologize for the Hollywood tape. He didn't, it's like, oh, it's locker room talk. I've been in many locker rooms, from basketball, playing basketball, martial arts, etc. I don't remember such talks, or at least to that level. And I know, oh my God, I'm saying this. Dr. Vibe, I was there at 16 years old in Paris. Me and another guy friend, we stood up and we fought against other guys to prevent the rape of a female in the room. Many times I've been in the nightclubs with other men, black men, white Arabs, white Jews. We stood up to say, no, it's not okay to treat a woman like this. It's one thing to joke about sex, to say certain things, but there is such a thing as a line to be crossed, notably when you have a wife and daughter. I didn't wait to have a daughter to care about women's rights. So when I hear about a Mark Robinson, a black man that, as I said, if he was on the screen, many people, and I mean, let's put that joke on, we're all bald-headed. It would be easy for him to be on the screen and someone to assume that maybe we are all brothers or cousins or whatever you want to call it. I can't be okay with the comments of this man, of this black man. This man is a danger. This man is a danger. He's not just a danger in terms of North Carolina regarding politics. No, he's a danger in terms of the black community, because as we know the way white supremacy works, when you are part of the marginalized community, such as black people are, one rotten apple reflects on the whole group. And this is where Mark Robinson becomes dangerous, notably to other black men, because people, don't fool yourself to think, oh, it's only him. It becomes dangerous because that man becomes a threat to society with the nature of his words. I mean, Netflix has enough TV shows about serial murderers, serial rapists. And time and again, the mindset, the previous comments, notably online, has led them to a path of crime, murder, and rape. I am absolutely not saying that Mark Robinson has done such thing or would do such things. But what I'm saying is, if he was on a Netflix show, the serial rapist or murderer who has held such, nobody will be surprised. Correlation is no causation, but there is a link. So no, this he will lose. We hope he loses. Of course, it's American politics. You never know what can happen, aka Trump in 2016, right? But yeah, no. Mark Robinson, just as the Florida politician woman, Kimberly Daniels, these are black people who literally wish they lived under slavery. Meanwhile, they have the privilege of never having known slavery. These are the black people will look at themselves in the mirror, will go to sleep at night, and the biggest dream is to wake up being white. Uncle Ruckus. But Uncle Ruckus was a victim of trauma. I have sympathy for Uncle Ruckus. I have no sympathy for people like Mark Robinson. Something happened, sure, but it's usually political opportunism and profit, just as when I was talking about Candace Owens. It's realizing there's an opportunity there and taking advantage of it.
Laying it down like not too many people I know how to do it. I'm also I've put it in the comment section on most of the platforms, whether you're watching live on the replay, the link for that article about the allegations about Mark Robinson. I'm also going to briefly put the link on the screen that you can screenshot if you wish. The link is pretty long, but you can take a look at the article. If you go to CNN and just put in Mark Robinson in the search, you'll find the article. I'm putting it on here on most of the platforms, live or on the replay in the comment section. You can click on the article and read it. So, Cesar, do you want to go into our last subject, or do you just want to take a break first? We go into our last subject.
Let's take a quick break.
We got a quick break coming up, and probably the hottest story of the week is coming up next. And a certain man has been arrested. And Cesar has a very interesting lens on it. And also, he'll go deeper into the impact of Black entertainment, good and bad, on Black individuals. So keep it locked. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Join Aisha K. Staggers and Laura Lala Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
People are expecting Obama-level eloquence out of a man who's always talked like this.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
There's no way that Trump is going to debate her.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. All right, we're back on Black Canada Talking, September 22nd. We are hanging out with Cesar Ndema-Moussa. He is laying down some great knowledge bombs. And before we go any further, there are some people, one person I haven't seen in a while, but it's good to have her here. And then a very special person that's here. So, Black Canadian content creators, absolutely good to see you. It has been a minute. If you're a Black Canadian content creator, I encourage you to take a look at being part of that community led by Shirley, and she'll help you and other content creators, a great community to hang out. And then a special friend is here today, Nicole Grant. Just a really special person. Really special person and a proud Scotian. Let me put it that way. Proud Scotian. I could say more, but I'm going to keep it because my heart is full if she is here. She says, I don't know anything about Mark and about Robinson before, but this is wild. It is wild. If you read about him, you're just going to go, wow, wow, wow. Black Canadian Creator says, thank you, Dr. Vibe. It's nice to be here. Well, it's good to have you as always. And Black Canadian Creator says, Black people are under the guise that they can benefit if they play the white supremacy game, not knowing that they'll be betrayed in the end and there's no benefit for them to them and our people. And look at this, Nicole's right in. Good stuff. He's likely being used as a puppet by his, quote, massa, unquote. But just the fact that he's allowing it to happen in 2024 is mind-blowing. I'd love to know his family's thoughts on his views. That would be an interesting comment. That'd be interesting to get the family lens on this. So, Nicole, first time, you better not be a last time because you're already up in the value of the conversation. And I know Nicole says, thank you, Dr. Vibe. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been waiting to have you here. Also, Ryan says, Mark Robinson forgot to use the incognito note on a few sessions. Oh, that's hilarious, Ryan. That is good. And for those who don't know, Ryan is co-founder and co-executive director of ACBN, Afro-Caribbean Business Network, and they do many things to help African-Canadian entrepreneurs. And he's on Dragon's Den coming up on the 26th, this Thursday, 8 or 8:30 p.m. So you'll see him tomorrow morning on the Morning Vibe with myself. But definitely, if you check out Dragon's Den, I believe Ryan is at 8:30 this Thursday. Put it in the comments so people are aware. And
yes, my wife likes that show, so it will be.
She will see him on. She'll see him on this Thursday.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and I think he's already hit us up saying, yeah, he says, thank you, good sir. Right back at you. It's 8 p.m. this Thursday on CBC Gem, I believe. Okay. So he will be on. And Dr. Tachi goes, oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. All right, family. Well, it's about that time.
Let's get it.
The arrest of Diddy and Black Entertainment. Cesar, the floor is yours. And I think there's going to be some people in the comments adding to what you're going to be sharing. So go for it.
Diddy, Puffy, Sean Combs, Brother Love, the 1,000 nicknames that he has. It is sad. It is sad, not just that he's being arrested, but if I dare to be quite honest and direct, as I'm known and I always am, what is so sad is that it has taken for us to get to 2024 for this to happen. The hypocrisy of far too many people is that I can absolutely assure you, Dr. Vibe, that even 20 years ago, when I was a bouncer, aka security in nightclubs, I knew of female clients and friends who were strippers who talked about some of the parties of Black celebrities such as Sean Puffy Combs. Totally opposing the notion of sex trafficking, and I'm speaking here based on what we know so far. So I am absolutely not privy to more to any confidential information, I should say. I only know what we know. For anyone who takes a moment to listen to the news or to research it. However, first thing, and I'm not here trying to be sympathetic to Sean Puffy Combs in regards to the allegations against him, but the first thing I want our Black people to understand is this. I am not here trying to say this is some white supremacy attempt against Black entertainers and R. Kelly's in jail and now they're going to put Diddy in jail and who's next. No, please. A criminal is a criminal, and the criminal who hurts other Black people as a Black person is even worse, because just as for R. Kelly, we know why they were not hurting white girls. white women because they know they would have been caught faster. However, we must not be foolish to forget that such behaviors also happen with white slash non-black entertainers who are not sitting in jail right now. So that's one thing that I think we must not forget. Of course, the Me Too movement beyond Harvey Weinstein has exposed the misbehaviors of many men. And for our, let's get controversial, for our black red pill brothers, aka Kevin Samuel fans, I, Cesar, am not saying all men are rapists. I'm a man. Obviously, Dr. Vibe is a man. And I know what it's like to be a victim of false accusation. However, far too often, the perpetrator is a man. So we must also have that conversation beyond women's rights and respect to women's body and the notion of consent. We must have that conversation on masculinity. And Dr. Vibe, you do a great job addressing male issues. And at Roots and Culture Canada, it is overwhelmingly at-risk black teenagers that we have and that we show role models and behaviors on top of feeding them in the basketball program. So, back to Diddy. We've seen the video of him in that hotel beating on Cassie. He himself made a video afterwards saying he was disgusted by his behavior. Problem is, you should be disgusted before even you go to the action of hitting another person, not just a woman, another person, just as you should be disgusted and doing a mea culpa before that video is released to the public. And I think, again, it was released by CNN. So what we see here regarding Diddy, many conversations. I read that he might be offered some type of plea deal or bargain if he can also denounce other black entertainers who took part in his parties, aka freak-offs, that included sexual exploitation of women. And I understand, reading between the lines, that would include notably rape, use of drugs to temper the will of people, the will to consent, but also the will in terms of actions. But also manipulation in terms of opportunities, such as in terms of awards of artists, names. I mean, I don't want to really give names to kind of fuel it, but names from Afrobeats celebrities to Black America, African Americans, many household names, many names that we grew up with since the 90s, etc., etc. Power and money become dangerous in the wrong hands. And it's too easy to become hyped. I say this with thoughts about Baby Girl. Those of our age, 40s and 50s, who grew up at least in North America in black culture since the 90s, know that Baby Girl refers to Aaliyah. And Aaliyah basically, as I would say, a victim of black entertainment in regards to R. Kelly. But maybe, I'm saying maybe, I don't claim to have the factual proofs, but based on what we read, Jay-Z and maybe Diddy, the whole notion of some black people through entertainment reaching money and power that would have been unseen, and as such, falling into the slope of misbehaviors. That said, there are people that I've also read who are literally hoping for Jay-Z or Burna Boy to be implicated as co-conspirators. Basically, I'm thinking here about two comedians, Cat Williams, on Club Shay talking about 2024. A lot of things will be revealed. Okay. But also D.L. Hughley will said, if you were a witness and you didn't come forward, you're an accomplice. But let's be careful. There is a justice that has to be done as a big time celebrity that he was. And notice, I am not a fan of people such as Pastor T.D. Jakes. I categorically oppose what Pastor T.D. Jakes represents in the Black community. I don't think anyone will be surprised to hear that, as I categorically oppose Abrahamism and Brahmism upon Black minds. But it's one thing to say Pastor T.D. Jakes, just as Oprah and so many other names were present at a Diddy party. It's a complete other thing to say that they took part in certain misbehaviors, in the same sense as being in a nightclub or being security in a nightclub doesn't mean that you took part in the shooting or in the rape that happened in the club at the same moment, at the same time. You may not even have been aware that such a thing was happening. So I invite our Black people to tread carefully, to resist the temptation of rumors and entertainment and, excessive opinions for the sake of likes. Because I've seen this on so many Black pages in the US, in Canada, Black pages in Europe, in Africa. Is basically anything and everything is becoming tied to Diddy, from Bow Wow, Burna Boy having been sodomized to Meek Mill to. Let's be careful. Let us be careful, because if it's absolutely true, and I agree, R. Kelly did wrong, deserves to go to jail. If Diddy did wrong to the extent that he did, beyond the Cassie video and others, absolutely he deserves to pay. I oppose sex trafficking. I'm not to be a consultant of sex trafficking, but let us not lie to ourselves. Whenever it comes to morality and not to be to crime, Blackness is always seen, judged, and treated worse and more harshly. That's why I started from the very start, reminding our Black people there are non-Black artists and musicians who have such behaviors and who have never been bothered. A certain Hugh Hefner, he's dead. But nobody was going to the Playboy Mansion in terms of celebrating the advances of women. You won't make me believe that certain shady things did not happen with those playmates, etc., etc. That's me talking. Let us absolutely go to the bottom of things and bring forth justice. But let us be careful to partake in the killing, in the desecration of what good Black entertainment has brought us and Black celebrities, and not lump anything and everything together. And remember, and I will finish this, I do say entertainment, toxic entertainment, is the number one cancer of the Black psyche.
All right. There'd be comments on this, so we got a whole pile of them. So first things off, Ryan goes, "Oh Lord, I want to hear everyone's ideas for how to use baby oil. Asking a friend." Nicole goes,
1,000 bottles of baby oil. Like, this is my bottle of water. Power up.
All right.
Child welfare. Imagine 1,000 bottles of them in my office. That's a bit too much.
Nicole Grant says, "LOL, Ryan." Samantha Gal says, 1,000 bottles. Like, can we talk about that? That is outrageous. Imagine how many stores he had to go to.
1,000 bottles is a business. That's a business there.
Yeah. Black Indian Creator says he tried to use the name, quote, brother love, unquote, but it's already been used by someone I admire. A friend of mine who's a musician. He used to live in New York, but now lives in Nashville. So the name. Samantha goes, "Ryan, he must have cooked with it too." Okay. Ryan goes, my man problem stocked up during COVID lockdown. And he goes to Samantha, laugh emoji. Canadian Content Creator says, "Brother Lowe can't be used as an alias since it's already taken." Herein why the indictment, quote, love, unquote, is an alias. Nicole says,
Thank
Puffy
you.
alone is keeping Johnson & Johnson in business. You people are terrible. Brian says, perhaps there was a sale on Temu I missed. Seriously back, Ryan says, agreed. Males abusing power is a serious issue. Samantha says, also, did anyone see that Usher deleted 7,000 tweets? Interesting. Nicole says, the fact that she even needed that video in order for people to believe Cassie is outrageous. It's just like Black people needing videos of bad police conduct in order to be believed. Taxi says, exactly. Nicole says, my heart hurts for Aaliyah. She was the only celebrity I cried for when she died. I loved her style and music. What a sweet soul who was manipulated and used for other people's personal gain.
That's what I meant, Nicole. That's what I meant. Sister Nicole Grant understood why I brought Aaliyah into this. You know, it's like that 15-year-old who, I mean, we can blame her parents, but still.
So then let me get the second part of this then. What does this say about Black entertainment? And unfortunately, the lens it shows to people in the world, rightfully or unrightfully.
Oh, people are not going to like what I'm going to say here. It is a continuation of the failure of the Black collective. So I'm not speaking about the individuals. In terms of individuals, right here in this conversation, including with Ryan, Dr. Tashi, Nicole Grant, Black creators, everybody participating, you, I, and others, we have great Black individuals, but our Black collective is a mess that keeps failing the current Blackness, but also the future generation of Blackness. This is not the 1960s, and I don't want to always make references to the past, but this is not the 1960s of Black consciousness, notably through music and arts. This is not the time of a celebrated Miriam Makeba, aka Mama Africa, or James Baldwin, Black, gay, and proud. This is not the time of James Brown, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and others holding a press conference while we also have Ali, #1 boxer in the world, the greatest athlete, and I say it, ahead of Pelé. Dr. Vibe, you know my favorite sport is football, aka soccer. I love Michael Jordan. My son to be born, not even conceived yet, but I do have that Michael Jordan baby outfit ready. And yet, the greatest athlete of all time is Muhammad Ali, because he stood up for his consciousness, Black consciousness and Black pride. These are not the times that we live in. Yes, Colin Kaepernick, but how many Colin Kaepernick since? So here, what he says in terms of Black entertainment is that integration is not a bad thing. We have to end segregation. Colonization has to end. But without Black consciousness and Black pride, traps of integration, thinking that we have arrived, and as such, that we can just behave as those who used to oppress us. Simply because what? You have a larger bank account? I don't care if your name is Diddy or Jay-Z or Tyrone or Ray Ray. You get pulled over by the wrong white cop, whether it's 12 p.m. or 12 a.m., you can become the next George Floyd. With a gun planted in your car or drugs.
Look what happened to Tyreek Hill for the Miami Dolphins 2 weeks ago.
You see what I mean?
Right?
I mean, we have Tyreek Hill. We have Tyreek Hill. He's an amazing football player. Honestly, when he was on, and I don't even like American football. I honestly, every year I tell myself, must watch the Super Bowl. And I usually fall asleep. But I've seen enough to be able to say Tyreek Hill, amazing football player. He is so fast. That brother is gifted. Hill has how many kids by how many women? I think it's over 10. And at the same time, all that money, all that fame, all those kids, but different women of different races, by the way, and he gets pulled over in a Lamborghini or whatever it was, luxury car. And this was by white Latino cops. So it's a constant reminder that we cannot allow ourselves to have entertainment, black entertainment with that black consciousness. Bad time of BET, when BET was literally producing poisoning content for black minds. This goes back to what one of our heroes, Thomas Sankara, said. In a world of white supremacy, in order for us to reach liberation, so I'm using my own words to give the thinking of Thomas Sankara. In a world of white supremacy, for black people to reach liberation, the soldier must have black consciousness just as the entertainer. It's not just the activist or the educated person. We do not have the luxury of thinking that we have arrived and as such we can have certain behaviors. We have a visitor.
Well, we know we know the end of the show is coming. No worries, the end of the show is coming. I'm
gonna need to have a conversation with my wife. I think she says it on purpose. She says
okay. That's the way to end the show. Got it. Okay. Well.
Dis allô à Dr. Vibe. Say hi. Dis bonjour.
Hey.
Use your words. Bravo.
Okay.
She loves when I'm on the screen.
Oh, look, you know what? And I'll just ask for your one other lens. Isn't one of the challenges too, though? The people that own the entertainment aren't us, so they are profiting about bad content that don't make us so good. Questionable individuals. Let me put it that way, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think we have to be mindful to. Attends une seconde.
When I did this, it just
we have to be, I hate to remind this to our black people because we all know this. One rotten apple reflects on the whole group.
Yeah.
Even though absolutely not, we have nothing to do with what R. Kelly or Diddy did or Ray or Tyrone did on the street corner or Shanae and Kenisha are doing in the club or being bad single mother or bad single. We have nothing to, it doesn't reflect on us as an individual, but unfortunately, the nature of discrimination, the nature of white supremacy, the nature of systemic racism makes it that just as George Floyd, we all felt something as black people, just as Barack Obama, we all felt something. It's the same conversation.
On that note, I'm getting the wave. So before we leave, Samantha says Canadian football is better. And also Nicole says males abusing power. Ryan, that's a whole other conversation on its own indeed. Absolutely, 100%. Well, Cesar has some stuff to take care of. So I will say, if you want to get a hold of Cesar, there's his email address. There's his Facebook information. It's also in the comments sections on most platforms you're watching this on. Cesar, I'm going to let you go, but I agree. I think you're a part. That's the way for you to tell her. That's the way she's getting the conversation. She sends her in.
Thank you. Right. Bye-bye, Yum Yum.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. All right. All right. There we go. Wow. So people say that's normal with Cesar. When his daughter comes in, that's usually cut time. So that's how we do it. So I want to say thank you to everyone who chimed in today. I am just looking for something here. So just give me a quick second and I will find it. And you know what? I got to find it. Just give me a second. There's something I'm looking for and I'm not able to find it yet. Just give me a second. There we go. All right. Found what I was looking for. All right. So want to say thank you to everybody today. Dr. Tachi says, great conversation. Thank you. A special thank you to Nicole Grant. Hope this is not first time, but first time and many time. And I'll just say you may be seeing some more of Nicole. I'm not going to say anything more right now. So again, catch Ryan on CBC this Thursday, September 26, 2024, 8 p.m. on Dragon's Den. Nicole says to Ryan, congrats to you, Ryan. Black Canadian Curators says, yes, Ryan, congratulations about Dragon's Den. Ryan says, thanks, family. And Dr. Tachi says, congrats, Ryan. All right, so let's finish it off here before we call it the rest of the afternoon. As always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. And please like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. If you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And as you see along the bottom, you can watch replays of Black Canada Talking on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And also, you can watch it live on my website, the dr.vibeshow.com. Great community today. Great audience. You guys made it happen today. So, as always, this is how we finish it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember, just don't manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourself grace. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good.